All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Over on Rumble, of course. On pause and repause. That's what we have to do every day. We're going to be talking about Rashida Tlaib, of course, with her... I don't even know how to classify it other than saying that she's definitely got borderline personality disorder. We'll diagnose her particular case. That will be the main subject at the moment. Unlock American prosperity by passing the Faster Labor Contracts Act. Sounds like a bad idea to me. If anything, labor unions should be more scant. They should be more absent from the workforce because they're generally a bad idea. Trump's Kimmel shutdown shows how corporate America cows before him. Today on people living in an alternate reality, we'll be talking about that as well. Also, Destiny was... demonetized, or possibly is pulling some sort of a stunt. We'll cover that too. And the U.S. Coast Guard, as well with Operation Pacific Viper, among other news stories. I've got so much docketed up here I can barely even click on the tab, so it's going to be a flooded news day, and a lot of it is probably going to get punted till tomorrow because there's no room for it. TGIF, though, of course, the last live stream of the week, I don't know how I'm going to get to all of the news, actually. Between the political news, the sociological news, and the scientific news, come on, dudes. I'm one person. I struggle to keep up sometimes. I'm doing the best that I can, though. Yeah, Operation Pacific Viper. Actually seems to be, non-controversial. I haven't seen the liberals complain about it yet. Amazing. Yeah, no, Rashida Tlaib definitely has BPD. Let's get to that first before we get to the sponsors, because that's going to be the big news of the day. This is absolutely fucking insane. And, actually, I should probably link this. I'll link this in chat. You can see it for yourself. And, tell me that this isn't somebody who has some sort of mental issue. This is from Nick Sorter, actually. And Rashida Tlaib goes off on Byron and calls him and everyone else fascists and stuff like that. And he's like, hey, do I look like a member of the Third Reich? Because he's black. That didn't sit well with her. She just goes off. Now, BPD, characterized by excessive gesticulation, number one, getting, enraged by mild things, and just whirlwinding around constantly. That is exactly what she's doing. Rashida Tlaib has has borderline personality disorder, which is one hell of a mental illness, by the way. She's fucking nuts. And she hasn't apparently learned to control her innate rage at this point, which is not surprising. She's a leftoid, so, sometimes it happens. It's difficult to tell the difference, by the way, between somebody who generally has BPD and somebody who's simply a raging leftoid. In her case, I think that it's both, actually, at this point. I don't even know what I'm listening to half the time in this particular exchange. She's just going off and rambling and yelling and talking over people. Oh, yeah, I know my time is done, but I'm going to still keep speaking and stuff like that. Jesus. When I watched this, I was laughing almost as hard as I laughed when I watched the Chazgard, and then I realized it's not okay to laugh at this because it's not really funny when you think about it. A person who's actually tasked with carrying out the desires of their constituency is outright batshit crazy. And I don't say that lightly. Like, you can look at someone like Kamala. She's derpy. She laughs at inappropriate moments, she's ineffective, etc. Okay, well, that's at least excusable, But with Rashida Tlaib, it's like, holy goddamn Jesus. I watched this clip, and you're beyond Antifa levels at this point. You're just a raging lunatic. This person needs to be kicked out of Congress, actually. But that won't actually happen, unfortunately. Yeah, we'll be talking more, I'm sure, about Rashida Tlaib. Pre-59 Cuban, fine line between stupid and crazy. Yeah, she's well into the crazy zone. She's nuts. She's literally nuts. She's got borderline personality disorder, guaranteed 100%. I see all the symptoms there. I've actually interacted with people with BPD before, and I can tell you this is exactly what you would expect from somebody with that particular disorder. Illustrator, I don't know what BPD means, but I hope it's fatal. No, it's fatal to other people around the person, generally speaking. There's no way that this is not BPD. Bobby. Hey, Bobby. Bobby Bominson. I just wanted to say that. Would you rather pork Rashida Tlaib or Elon Omar? I'll take Omar. Gun to head mode, I would choose Omar. She doesn't have BPD, she's just an ideologue. JD, good morning, Tarl and fellow clankers. What are the odds of the GOP winning the midterms after the Kirk assassination? I know the GOP has a habit of snatching defeat out of the jaws of victory. Very true, unfortunately. I think they have a good chance at this point. I think that they'll do better than expected. They may or may not lose the House and or Senate, but I don't see any imminent danger at the moment, because the Democrats are busy pounding themselves in the face, like the stupidest ape in the jungle. Spider Eternal, what I don't get is why they don't mute the mic, just a sec, in cases like that. Pisses me off every time. Oh, I don't want the mic muted. I want to hear Rashida Tlaib in her own crazy words. Because between the gesticulation... between the gesticulation and the way that she's just yelling and talking over people and stuff and saying crazy shit, this should be the standard bearer for the Democratic Party, actually. Bobby, Elon Omar is a very hot brown woman. No, but, you know, again, between her and Rashida Tlaib, I think Elon Omar is the more sane one. Bobby, what about Rashida Tlaib or AOC? Take AOC. Like she has some skills. She has actually done work in her life, which is more than we can say for most members of Congress. She was a bartender. Sigil, good morning, clankers. It's my birthday. Happy birthday to Sigil Stone. Yeah, my man. You got a year closer to the grave. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, let's get to our sponsors. We will talk more about Rashida Tlaib in a moment. This might devolve into a Rashida Tlaib is crazy stream because of the absolute sheer amount of madness that she's, you know, doing here. The craziness with which she's operating is sheer. It really does look a little bit like Chaz Garden 2.0. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just yelling and talking over people. You're not interested in having any meaningful conversation. Now you're calling a black dude a member of the Third Reich, effectively. That didn't sit well with Byron, by the way. Look at that. Again, I've posted the link on both chats. Holy shit. It's crazy. Let's get to our sponsors, shall we? We have cultivated-mind.com. Where you can get mushroom pills, of course. They will boost your energy. I've taken 2 today. That's why I'm in a good mood. They seem to work. They're definitely neuroregenerative, I'll tell you that much. Also, you've got doggo snacks now, too, with 6 different dual-activated mushroom extracts. All organic, all good and above the board. And your doggo will probably love them, because they smell awfully tasty. I considered actually eating one myself, thought better of it, and figured, well, it's technically not for human consumption. I'll just let the doggo have these ones. We've got BiltongUSA.com. Anytime we mention Biltong USA and or Anton drops into chat, we have to eat a little bit of Bovrite, which he can supply to you. That's delicious. Too salty, he says. You don't know the meaning of salty, my man. He's also got Wagyu, Angus sticks, Cabanassi, venison, bison. Pretty much every meat under the sun has been prepared Biltong style. Biltong is a brining process, actually. Preserves the meat, and it's absolutely fucking delicious, let me tell you. I got a freezer stacked full of that shit. Still eating on it now. He sends me almost too much meat. You know, you got to put it in soup and everything else. You go hiking, you bring some cabanasi or some Angus sticks or something like that. You know, and we've also got Stick, Sex, and Hammer mugs, tumblers, and shirts available as well. You can also get various other imported goods. And finally, jamandbean.com. That is jamnbean.com. He just sent me a bunch of teas and stuff like that. Yeah, let me show you this all. He sells tea. You've got coffee, Clanker Blend, of course. That is the official coffee of the channel. We've got Virtue's Cup, herbal tisane teas, apple, hibiscus, rose hips, mango, cinnamon, clove, and ginger, which sounds delicious. I haven't tried that one yet. Chamomile, okay, it's a standard chamomile tea, but it looks properly done. Good. Yunnan Jig, my favorite. Oh, I love this. It's just like the tea you get in a Chinese restaurant, but 10 times better. Green chai. I'm not a big fan of chai, but some other people around here are, so, you know, that'll get eaten up. Friendship green tea, pineapple sweetness, slightly crisp with a floral finish. Yeah, you're going to be drinking the good stuff if you go with Jam and Bean. Use code STICKS, by the way, on all of these sites for a discount. Is it odd that I get awfully excited when I get like tea and stuff like that? If anyone wants to send me tea, just DM me on Twitter. I'll front anything as long as you give me tea. Miss Grimstock, hi Sticks. Please give a shout out to R&H Guns in Winchester, Virginia on Warrior Drive next to Papa John's. Lowest prices on guns and ammo. $25 FFL transfer fee. 10% in consignment on firearms. Good. Everyone should have more guns. Will Gooding. Sticks, did you see Matt Walsh's response to Keith Olbermann's nasty Charlie Kirk burning in hell comment on X? Epicone. Clap those ass cheeks like thunder. No, I haven't, actually. Keith Olbermann, though, most of the time, he says goofy shit. Most of the time, what he says doesn't really make sense. And if it does make sense, the sense that it makes is wrong. So it's like, Donald Trump is going to destroy democracy. That's basically his shtick. Isn't he the one that allegedly killed one of his co-workers, possibly? I think it was Keith Olbermann. Can't recall. So yeah, Rashida Tlaib, she's got some sort of massive mental illness that she really, really needs to address. Because the way that she's moving in the video and stuff like that, that's not really necessary, and yelling and talking over people and stuff like that. She's got, I believe, borderline personality disorder. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, she is a far leftoid. She's part of the geek squad. Wouldn't be confusing to me. Unlock American prosperity by passing the Faster Labor Contracts Act. I do not agree with this. I think that unions are on their way out for good reason. What this would do is effectively lock companies into a position where if their workers decided to vote to, mediate and stuff like that, that it would be forced. The government will get involved. Well, we all know that when the government gets involved with things, it tends to make things worse. Generally speaking, it's better that people sort things out for themselves, absent the government. Your monetary transfers are not taxed. That's good. Your mediation is basically, hey, you're talking to another person. You're actually attempting to negotiate. That's a good thing. When the government gets involved, though, it becomes a pile of legalese. There's 10,000 fucking pages of paperwork to file and a bunch of lawyers involved, and it becomes inefficient, slower, and retarded, generally speaking. The government is not your friend. Anytime it can be absent from any transaction that you make, it should be absent from that transaction. At least that's my experience. I've seen what overt government can do. It ain't pretty. It's basically a pile of bullshit more than anything else, actually. Keith Doberman? Yeah, I guess that's his name if he becomes a furry, I suppose. Queef Doberman. Oh, God. Yeah. The government can suck itself. The government can fuck itself. And it does on a regular basis, you know? But getting the government involved seems like a bad idea. Here's my idea on unions. If workers in a company wish to unionize, if they wish to collectively bargain, and set one employee forward to, negotiate and so forth, that's fine. They have that right. They're not slaves or anything like that. It's all perfectly fine. The business has the right to fire them, to nullify any unions that do try to form and hire new people. And they have the right to bargain. They're like, hey, we're making too little money. So here's our Teamster here who's going to talk to you. When you designate a union boss, though, you've got to understand that union boss is in the same salary range as many of the officials within the company. They're going to go there and pal around. They're going to take money from the company, and then they're going to give you, basically breadcrumbs. Nothing more. Unions are a scam, generally, these days. Virtually all of the unions' goals of yesteryear, they've already been accomplished. Why do they still exist? There's no reason for them. Burger Flippers Union and shit. Will Gooding. Love how the leftoids were all in support of Disney when they were pushing their woke BS, but as soon as Kimmel gets canceled, they want to boycott them. The Dems are truly the party of BPD. Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, the right does engage in the same behavior. All of a sudden, Disney is now, forgiven because of this for some of these people. I just don't give a shit. In my opinion, Disney is just terrible crap anyway. They've ruined all of their own franchises. They've ruined, Amazon has done the same thing, like with Lord of the Rings. But yeah, there is an element of hypocrisy there, admittedly. Apache, not to be Tim Pool, but are we just in a civil war at this point? It's been a week and tensions have just got worse and ramped up with no signs of slowing. Not yet, thankfully. We don't want that. Randall Flagg, my friend's brother works for the IRS. If you owe over 4 figures and can prove hardship and that it's impossible to pay back, they may grant you a one-time forgiveness. This is not financial advice. Good to know. I've paid shit tons of money to the goddamn government. I wonder how many people were killed by the money that I had to give to the U.S. government. How many Yemeni orphans were blasted by drones or something like that. Unfortunately, it's probably measurable. Most people don't like to think about such things. I like to think about them habitually. What am I actually doing in life? Oh, I killed some Syrian orphans. Wonderful. Really great use of my taxpayer money. So yeah, the Prosperity Act, it's bullshit, basically. Effectively, it's nothing more than forcing unionization on more companies. We need more right-to-work states. I shouldn't have to join a union to be able to pack up cardboard boxes or ship things. Shouldn't be necessary. There should be no regulation at all. Hire someone, they do their job good, you keep them aboard. They don't do their job good, you fucking fire them. That's kind of the point, basically. People will find their spot in life. Most people have at least a few skills. Spider Eternal, did you see the new Albanian AI minister? I see a slippery slope. No, please send that to me. DM me on Twitter, and I'll take a look at that later. I haven't seen that. Trump's Kimmel shutdown shows how corporate America cows before him. I'm not even going to bother reading you any of the article. The idea that corporate America, or the legacy media, or anyone really, is cowing before Donald Trump is absolutely, utterly laughable at this point. He has faced non-stop obstruction, not only in his first term, but now well into his second term. Non-stop obstruction. It keeps happening over and over, especially at the judiciary level. What happens is he has a good idea, gets through Congress, or it's, legit from EO or something like that, and it just gets blocked by the courts over and over again. Corporations complain about him constantly. The idea that Jimmy Kimmel getting fired has something to do, by the way, anyway, with Donald Trump is completely ludicrous. He was fired because his ratings sucked. He was fired because he's a fucking loser. He was fired because he's dead weight. They were just waiting for an excuse to fire him. Because this is what the network executives know at Disney. Jimmy Kimmel has a core audience that is fairly hardened. He has a fan base that is voracious with regards to his content. They didn't want to alienate him, but they couldn't let him go because they didn't have a reason to let him go. If they say, well, his ratings are down, so we're cutting the show, what happens? The fans complain. But if you give them a reason why you've cut him loose, which they have done, then all of a sudden, you have plausible deniability. Well, he's making comments about Charlie Kirk and MAGA and stuff like that. We're just not comfortable with it. So we're going to let him go. We're going to let him go on to greener pastures maybe or something. Maybe he'll have a shitty podcast like Bill O'Reilly did when he was cut loose from Fox News. This ain't no Me Too case, but it's similar levels of, hey, we don't want to deal with you anymore, so to speak. So they were waiting for this excuse. They've been waiting for a while. They wanted to cut him loose anyway. He's not drawing in anywhere near the same audience that he was before. He's lower in the slots. There are plenty of other people who do the infotainment thing that are far more comedic, that are far more talented. And so they said, we'll just wait. We'll wait until he hangs himself, basically. Jimmy Kimmel just couldn't make the cut. He's just untalented. He's no longer funny. I mean, that's the only way that you can put it. When's the last time that he made a good joke that went viral? I don't know, 5-6 years ago or something like that? At the dawn of the TDS era? Well, now you're just beating a dead horse. All you do, literally for the entire skit, is just talk about, hey, did you see what Donald Trump ate the other day? He ate tacos. And he didn't melt the cheese in properly. Ha ha ha! Like this is funny or something. It's like, okay, the joke was funny maybe 10 years ago, but it's not really funny now is it? No, now it's just boring. Fucking retarded is what it is. Spider. It's pretty gross to see people treating Jimmy as though he was the one that was shot. It's unsurprising to see the left equate the two, but disheartening nonetheless. Yeah, that's another thing that I've noticed. There's a big difference between somebody being canceled by a corporation for something that they've said that is considered universally objectionable and somebody getting shot. Those are two different things. I've actually decided to create a Charlie Kirk scale. It's a 5-point scale by which you gauge the reaction to somebody based on how pissed the left is at them, actually. And at level 5, of course, they try to kill you. That's what happened to Charlie Kirk. Yeah, we're going to make Bobby Bobbinson a meme on the channel. Hey, Bobby Robinson. We're going to make you a meme, Bobby. We're going to do it. We have the power of clank. I don't have a spoon to clank at the moment. I'm rather sad. So yeah, the idea that Donald Trump is getting kowtowed to by the legacy media or by corporations is completely laughable. It's exactly the opposite. People are living in this weird, bizarro world where they believe that Donald Trump is all-encompassing, all-powerful, and everyone is on his side, and everyone else is just wandering around in the streets moaning and stuff like that. That's not the reality that I see. Rather, Donald Trump is completely opposed by virtually all of these machinations of government, of corporate industry, of the legacy media, craptivistic firms. He's facing a headwind the likes of which no other U.S. president, as far as I can tell, has ever had to actually face. He's managing to make headway. I don't know how the fuck he even does it. When he wakes up in the morning, I wouldn't want to be Donald Trump. You couldn't pay me, and you could pay me all of his net worth, and I still wouldn't want to be him. Because it's completely thankless. You wake up, it's like, hey, bring me the news headlines. And the news headlines, 50% of them are how you're a terrible, evil, awful monster. I don't envy him his job, actually, honestly. I would never want to be in D.C. anyway, though. One tall order. Happy Friday, sticks and all clankers. Did you listen to the song Shockwire song talked about yesterday? I did, and I thought it was funny. Also, have you watched the 1970 version of Vanishing Point yet? I'll docket that up for later. Vanishing Point. Okay, I'll probably watch it later. Thank you. Inland Surfer. Kimmel sucked since his start on Ben Stein's Money. Despised him during Koof years. Yeah, he's a complete sellout. He's irrelevant too, you know. But he doesn't understand that he's irrelevant. He still thinks it's like, 1999 or something like that. Yeah, the idea that Donald Trump is controlling a bunch of corporations, other than kind of a tangential interaction with Tesla/Elon Musk, he's really got nothing in the corporate world going for them. They're just following the money. And generally, following the money means following Trump as opposed to the far left. Yeah, Kimmel, he fucked himself. He became stale. He became boring. Nobody was watching his show. Sort of like Stephen Colbert. I can remember a time back when I was in college when these people were relevant and some of it was very funny. I remember watching. This is back in the days of college. So long ago. I'm 37 now, of course. I can remember watching like Colbert Report and stuff like that, and it was funny. And these people would also criticize the left, even if from an incredulous perspective. So it'd be more like with Colbert, for example. It would be like, you're making a mistake, and I'm going to castigate you for doing that because you're acting retarded. They don't even do that anymore, though. They don't even try to correct the left on its mistakes, of which they're making many. They don't even try to do that anymore because, orange man bad. So all they can do is make jokes about Trump. Well, it's fun to make jokes about Trump and say, he's orange, he eats his pizza wrong, he eats his steak wrong. I happen to agree with the left-wing assessment of his steak, by the way. Well done is not the way to have it. Should be medium rare. Just saying that, of course, I can have criticisms of Trump too. And so on and so on forth. He pisses in people's beds or has Russian hookers do it and weird shit like that. And it's funny the first time around. When you make a joke, it's novel, it's funny. For a little while. Then you've got to make another one. You can't simply stick to the same goddamn comedy routine over and over again for literally years in some of these cases. I guess they didn't get the memo. One tall order, the decentralization of the internet and independent content creators has completely ruined the business model of the legacy media. True. $1 million salaries for talking heads shouting into the void. Yeah, I find it funny that I can reach as many people with a webcam and a laptop computer as people that have, 8-figure salaries can reach. I do find this funny. And I'm not even one of the biggest content creators. Imagine what Tim Pool and Crowder and people like that are pulling in. I mean, they're blowing it out of the park. CNN's basically fucking dead at this point. Nobody wants to watch that shit. I don't know why you'd want to watch it. You want to watch the boredom show. Will Gooding. You check out the woolly devil aster species yet, Sticks? Yes, I did. I loved that. Really cool. Also, what do you think about trying to de-extinct the passenger pigeon? That's a great idea. And it wouldn't be hard, I suppose. Yeah, passenger pigeons are cool. I'd like a couple. You can send letters to your neighbor, and, that sounds fun, actually. Just looking at this. Got plenty of other news to cover. This is going to be mainly a Bantz stream, though. I'm more in the mood for Bantz today than going to the news. It's Friday. It's a little bit low-key. It's more laid back. AF Post. Oh, this is a funny one. Liberal streamer Destiny, who recently refused to disavow the politically motivated assassination of Charlie Kirk, has been demonetized on YouTube. Now, there are some people that are saying this is a stunt, so he just canceled memberships temporarily to try to basically say he was being targeted by YouTube. I think it's real. I don't think that it's staged. And I'm not surprised either. But he doesn't care. Destiny gets a shit ton of money from third parties, laundered probably, from foreign governments possibly, from elements of the U.S. government possibly as well. He's got his check. He doesn't have to worry. He doesn't really care about YouTube monetization. Oh yeah, Meat Hook. Did you see him get heckled at his event? Yeah, I saw they were calling him a pedophile and stuff like that. He's made some, let's say, unsavory comments before. He's also been cucked and cucked another dude on live streams. There was that one live stream where he sort of starts flirting with a chick that had a boyfriend, but she was poly or something like that. And then they go into the back room and they're obviously fucking. Then there was another incident where he had some dude aboard and he stole his girlfriend, who I believe has left him, and then he got cucked. He seems to be into this sort of thing. He seems to be into cuckoldry on both ends, cucking others and being cucked. Wonderful. I don't give a shit. It's like, if you're into that sort of thing, who cares? I don't believe in the concept of sin or anything like that, so I have no moral judgment. Just saying, it's a little bit bizarre, There might be, those paraphilias don't exist without a reason, usually. Let's put it mildly. One tall order, yeah. 28 U.S. Marines pulling up in black Ford Raptor trucks. Helicopters landed. Destiny's house is under siege, under lockdown. U.S. Marines are gonna fuck Destiny's cuckold butt. What? Destiny got raided? I don't know if you're just imagining something or whether that's real. I haven't seen any news on it. Let me look it up. It would be funny, though. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. I'm assuming that that's a joke of some sort. It would be funny. Also, the dude looks like a chimpanzee, actually. He's like really, really short and he's got extra long arms. So he looks like he's going to clamber around in the trees to find coconuts and bananas and shit like that. That's my read on Destiny. He's just dysmorphic, actually. No, it's Ram Ranch lyrics. Oh, okay. I didn't get the reference. Never heard of him. Apparently I'll have to. Yeah, Destiny looks like a little chimpanzee, actually. And it's funny, he tried to bait me into a debate once. And one of his Discord staff happened to be a mutual and told me that his idea was he was going to try to rope-a-dope me into a debate and then try to get me to say something that would get me banned. That was basically, it was definitely not in a good faith debate sense. Let's put it that way. Mr. Thundermaker, the left tried to cancel a kid because he smirked at a Native American. I don't really care if they want to cry over Kimmel. Yeah, the Sandman saga. He got a lot of money from that, man. He's set for life. You remember the Nick Sandman case when the legacy media was running with the idea that Nick Sandman and his cohorts there, that were there basically just to attend, were trying to they were trying to disgrace the Native Americans that were marching around and pounding drums and stuff. But then you got footage, and this is why I love the internet, because very quickly people found other footage of the incident and said, well, actually, they were protesting in solidarity with the Native American individuals, ironically, against the black Israelis. And Sandman was standing there chill-faced because he didn't know what the fuck was going on. There were a bunch of defamation lawsuits over that. Sigil, LMAO, Sticks, that was a Ram Ranch reference. And the creator of Ram Ranch songs is in prison for fucking his underage nephew. Incestuous pedophile leftist. Name a more iconic combination. Yeah, ew. Now, leftists tend to be into some weird shit. Trust me, I've got plenty of them. Destiny needs to lay off the Adderall. Haha, says Leon. Yeah, and whatever the hell else. I guarantee you that dude's taken cocaine more than one time. Destiny is bought by Soros. He said that on Lex Friedman. Yeah, exactly. You got to realize there was another scandal. It didn't get much attention. You know the bread tubers, the commies that make like YouTube and TikTok content and stuff like that, like Vaush? They're paid in part by the British government, actually. But nobody knows this because it wasn't widely reported on. They basically they developed the concept of algorithmic hijacking. That is trying to ride the algorithm any way possible by weighing in on things that were already viral, and so you would insinuate yourself into the conversation. Now, this is something that content creators have done for years anyway. I do it. I mean, guaranteed. I'm going to talk about something that people are all talking about and weigh in, assuming that it's of interest to me. But I don't get paid to do that. It's different. They're getting paid specifically to ride the algorithm to try to inject their communism. They're literally paid by the UK's government, and most people don't even know that this exists. BreadTube is completely astroturfed. People like Destiny, they're all beholden to the corporations they swear that they oppose. It's a bunch of bullshit, really. Tim Bucks, Destiny might be responsible for half convincing me women should not vote as he is almost a woman. Yeah, no, he's not a woman, he's a cuck. He's literally a cuck. He literally got cucked. Yeah. Strong, empowered men should listen to Destiny, the cuckold. Mr. Wonderful, can't wait for Trump to declare Twitch a terrorist organization. Bezos will suddenly pay attention. That won't happen, but it'd be hilarious if he tried. Sigil, Sticks, try some RuneScape. They're doing a special game mode until November with accelerated XP gains and stuff. Dude, I have a bitchin' RuneScape account. I'm Hail Lucifer on there. And I've got my 100s in multiple venues. The Napalm Brothers HQ. Sticks, would you fight Destiny in the parking lot? Yeah, it wouldn't be hard. He likes to flex and like lift little weights and stuff like that and pretend to be strong, but literally he's just a little ape. He's a fucking chimpanzee. And he's never won a debate. The funny thing is, like, Destiny's super fans, they'll like astroturf the idea that, oh my god, look at him, he blew him out in the debate and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, it's bullshit. Yeah, awakening the look on Destiny's face when Tyrone was dancing with his wife is priceless. Emotional damage. Yeah, he wanted to cuck other people, but then when he got cucked, he was really upset about that. So, Destiny's got some problems. Oh my god, you got demonetized. Hey, it's sort of like every fucking buddy else. YouTube is demonetizing people because it doesn't have enough ads to send out to everyone. And since you're operative on other platforms, they decided to simply discredit you. Welcome to the real world, little buddy. Coast Guard seizes cocaine. Suspected narco-terrorists in Pacific Viper raid. Yeah, apparently, there's a new operation that's been incepted. More than 75,000 pounds of cocaine and over 60 suspected narco-terrorists have been seized since the Operation Pacific Viper was launched in August, actually. That's some good work. Again, we're only in the middle of September, so since it launched in August, they've grabbed 75,000 pounds of coke. Now, I am anti-drug war. I'll put that up front. I don't believe in jailing people for simple possession. If they're dealing it to a friend or something like that, I just don't give a shit. We got bigger titties to lick right now. Like the border crisis. Like the war over in Ukraine. Diplomatic disputes, things like that. We've got bigger issues to attend to. But insofar as they're doing a good job, I guess they've been highly effective. 75,000 pounds of cocaine. That'll keep you high for a while. Just saying. Operation Pacific Viper. It has a cool name too, so you know it's good. And under Trump, it's like night and day. night, Biden empire, nothing's getting accomplished. The biggest bill is basically a throwaway infrastructure bill. It costs a lot of money and doesn't really give you any return. Under Trump, hey, first 100 days in office, here's the top 10 things that I've achieved. Trump is a doer. Biden just sat there and twiddled his thumbs, basically, and, I've got some fuzz on my leg. Oh, God, I got a loose string here. That was basically Biden. With Donald Trump, it's more like, I'm going to get down to work. I'm going to get down to brass tacks. And he's done a good job, generally speaking. Not in every way, but generally speaking, the Trump administration has simply been better. This is evidence of that. The Coast Guard has seized 75,000 pounds of cocaine. That's just the cocaine. Imagine all the other drugs that were available. I would never use cocaine, but if I had 75,000 pounds of it, I think I could probably find a buyer. That would be funny. Okay, here's my retirement fund. Sigil, next time you're on RuneScape, add me to your friends list. Take a wild guess what my username is. Probably Sigil Stone. I don't play RuneScape anymore, but I do have one hell of an account. Hey, Lucifer, it's on there. You can check it. And I wonder how much it would be worth. Sometimes people buy accounts that have high stats. I've got pretty high stats. Oh, King of Biltong is here. He has arrived. This time, we'll honor with Vegemite. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, it's actually Anton's wife. Hello, milady. I ate Vegemite in your honor. God. There's so much weird intrigue because I was on the quartering show that people talk about that consistently. Chicago and the fight over the National Guard. Residents debate whether Trump's threatened deployment would really help bring down violence. Well, look at the crime rate in D.C., for example, where they can be deployed more adequately because it's a federal district, it's not a state. Seems to have worked now. Property crime is way down. Violent crime is down too. Most crime metrics are down. I wonder why that is. Well, let's say, you got to understand, the average person is not an insane individual. They are a rational actor. This is what people get wrong with geopolitics too. When we look at North Korea, for example, people say, well, Kim Jong-un is insane. He's not insane. No, he's perfectly intelligent. He's classically trained in Switzerland and, has seen the world. He's a rational actor. He's a rational actor that's acting irrational. When you look at things like this, therefore, you've got to understand that criminals are also generally rational actors. They weigh, is the risk of me committing this crime, whether it be breaking into a vehicle, shooting someone, whatever it happens to be, is it worth the reward that I'm going to get for having committed that act? When you inject additional troops, cops, whatever it happens to be, into the area, then the risk becomes higher. Therefore, crime becomes more seldom because the rational actors, the ones that aren't nuts, which is 90% of them, they're going to look at it and say, well, I could break into this car, but I'm probably going to get apprehended. Maybe I should go elsewhere. Maybe I should not break in any cars at all because I might be arrested. It's all about risk and reward. Rational people use it all the time subconsciously. You use it too, if you're a rational individual. When you think that you can get away with something, you probably take the plunge. When you don't think you can get away with it, then you probably avoid it. That's the way that it works. It's just human experience. It's reality. There is such a thing as reciprocity and charity and things like this. taking, giving kindness to people who have nothing or are lesser than yourself in the economic sense. That's true. But generally speaking, in day-to-day interactions, for the most part, people look at risk and reward. Hey, I could steal those French fries. I might get caught. Are the French fries really worth grabbing them right now while the cashier's not looking? That's basically the way that the average person operates. So as far as Chicago, though, I think there's something further as well. Chicago is overrun. Chicago is literally besieged by crime at the moment. Sending in the National Guard, while it's something that I wish didn't have to happen, while it's something that I don't generally agree with, in Chicago's case, it's so overrun by crime, what the hell else are you going to do? The cops obviously can't handle it. The city government doesn't want to handle it. They apparently want the people of Chicago to suffer. So it would be a good idea to send the troops in. I think that it's a good idea. Balls. Doesn't Destiny's son hate him? I don't know anything about that, but probably. I can't imagine anyone who hung around him for an extended period of time wouldn't. Andrus Sobel. Since Trump has declared Antifa a domestic terrorist organization, what will happen to its members? Will RICO convictions happen to George and his son? Possibly. What you need is an act of Congress to officially incept them as a terrorist organization. An executive order on its own sets a statement from the executive branch, but it doesn't really lead to any considerable legal extension. What you need is an act of Congress. So, thankfully, right now, the House and the Senate are both run by Republicans. They can easily pass such a bill. Antifa is now a terrorist organization. Ta-da! That's basically all you need. Now, we wait and we see. Are the Republicans stupid enough not to do this? It would be a win. It would be a great thing. You can go after Antifa. It'll rile up the left, but they're riled up anyway. The right wing will celebrate it, of course, along with most independent voters, and you gain a win. Now we see whether the Republicans are pussy enough to ignore this. My implication is probably yes. Unfortunately, I don't think that the Republicans will codify it in actual law. And then if it's codified, of course, it'll be fought out in the courts for years to come. So, it'll be a long haul. This has happened before. Trump had to spend 3 years litigating to assert his capability of using discretionary spending that was already his to disperse for whatever reason he wanted related to national security in order to build a border wall. Randall Flagg. Sticks, I was going to go to the Charlie Kirk vigil in Boston, mostly to pick up chicks. Haha, yeah, man. But Antifa threatened to show up and they held something called a counter vigil, so I opted out. Too much cringe. You should have gone anyway. You punch an Antifa member out and you'll get more pussy, Wouldn't be hard. Most of those people, they look like Destiny, like little chimpanzees or something. Friggin' idiots. Just saying that there are some people in the world who probably shouldn't have been born. Just saying. It's Rubio! With the sentencing of former Brazilian President Bolsonaro, it is clear that the rule of law is breaking down in Brazil. I agree. And I wanted to apologize to Marco Rubio. I was harsh on you in the 2016 election. Thought that your cringe was funny. When you had the Marco Roboto moment, that was amusing to me. But he has distinguished himself actually as a very competent Secretary of State. Ultimately, he's succeeded in life. He's gotten a lot better at his delivery in diplomatic terms, which is the main goal of the Secretary of State. He's keeping people's toes to the fire. He's carrying out the administration's wishes, generally speaking. He's actually doing a good job. Marco Rubio is actually one of the better members of the cabinet. J.D. Tarl is a citizen of Hanoi. I'm just hoping for a full-scale deployment of the National Guard in Chicago. Yeah. Yeah, it's hilarious. With regards to Bolsonaro, his opponent was literally an imprisoned socialist. Yeah. Randall Flagg, Brazil elected a communist who was in prison. Yeah, that election was not legit, by the way. There were so many irregularities. It was like the 2020 election in the United States. Come on, dude. Brazil's election was bullshit. And everybody knows it, including the Brazilian people. It's just that a large number of them don't care because they got the outcome that they wanted anyway. Well, if you want Brazil to slip backwards while Argentina eclipses you as the major economy in South America, this is all you have to do. And that is what will be done. I have incredible belief in the ability of Javier Milei, for example, to run an economy. He seems to know how to actually count. It's kind of important. Meanwhile, down in Brazil, just a bunch of socialistic nonsense, basically. Copium Poppy says, last beacon, over and over again. Oh my god. There's a fly flying around. Holy shit. Oh, we can talk about educational policy. The nation's report card shows how education policy has failed. According to the report, this is absolutely damning, by the way, and it makes me mad actually thinking about it because it's so simple to set things up and make them work. It's not that difficult. It's just the legalese and the bureaucracy gets in the way. According to the report, 1/3 of seniors are reading at below basic level, and only 35% are proficient or above. In math, 45% are below basic, with just 22% meeting proficiency. The proportion of students in the 10th and 25th percentiles has fallen to historic lows, widening the gap between the highest and lowest achieving students and leaving many unprepared for life after school. And it goes on, and bullshit. We need to fix the educational system in the United States, starting with the departure of the Department of Education. Get rid of them entirely. Shouldn't exist at all. Give it back to the states. Give them subsidies, reward schools that do well, punish schools that don't do well, and get rid of the teachers' unions. If you can accomplish that, we'll soon be number one again in proficiency in all of these measures. We were before. We already were. We were top in the world back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Then we incepted the Department of Education and everything fell apart. It's amazing how these things coincidentally coincide. Yeah, couldn't have anything to do with Common Core, which I call Common Crap, or No Child Left Behind, which I call No Child Left. Couldn't have anything to do with that. No, absolutely not. Nope, has nothing to do with it. It's just people are getting stupider for no reason. Ask yourself that. Why are people becoming less intelligent? Why are they less proficient in, basic skills? Able to read? Instead of point and grunt, you actually can read the book. Or you can write something. Or you can do math. Simple calculations. Basic math is important. I don't think that advanced math is particularly important unless you're going into engineering, accounting, something like that. It's boring as fuck. But at least basic math, the ability to add 25 plus 25. What is it? I don't know. There's too many numbers. These are the kind of kids that we're churning out. It's the fault of the educational industry. That's literally what it is. It's because of a bunch of school unions, teachers unions, keep teachers aboard that aren't really doing a good job, and they won't let them be fired. And then you have other regulations, of course, and, you got a big problem. '92 Cat. Tarl did release the Jeremy files. I have no clue what kind of channel meme this has become. What have I become, my sweetest friend? Let's see. Oh yeah, you've got the Lisa Cook saga. Trump is now appealing it to the Supreme Court. They probably will not take up this particular case, if I had to guess. Don't think that this is really going to end up on the docket. Lisa Cook, of course, involved with attempting to fuck around with Donald Trump, Federal Reserve, member, and he wants her cut from the job. He wants to fire her because she's not doing her job. And Lisa Cook came out and said, well, I ain't going nowhere. You ain't got no authority over me. And Trump is now saying, okay, let the Supreme Court weigh in on it. My thought is that probably the Supreme Court will not take up the case. I don't see any particular reason why they would take it up. It's a one-off. It's one person. Does the president have this authority? It remains to be seen. And so the problem is, if they do take up the case, they either have to say bindingly that either the President of the United States can people from the Federal Reserve or they can't. They're going to have to rule one way or the other. They can insert nuance all they want, but it becomes a pile of legalese. So I don't think that they're going to take up the case. If they do, I have a feeling they'll find against Trump, actually, on this particular case. They'll limit their decision, though. They'll limit it so that it doesn't impact future cases. The Supreme Court wisely tends to do this. This is one of the few things that they do wisely. King of Biltong. Did you know we also specialize in imported foods? Check out the updates to Biltong USA for a great selection of food items. And of course, Biltong. www.biltongusa.com. Code STICKS for 10% off Biltong. Get your meat, dudes. You need it. It's good. It lasts a while, too. Yeah, the shredded stuff is good in soups. The stick versions, like the Cabanassi, the Angus, that's sort of like you pack it, and you go out and hike and stuff like that. It's really great. It gives you energy, a slow burn energy, like protein and fatty and stuff like that. Not like those dextrose pills and shit that they sell now. By the way, that's actually something that I hadn't thought of. They have those all over the place in Europe, but I've never really seen them here in the US much. Interesting. Must be a Euro thing. Who knows? Copium poppies. The shredded stuff is best by itself. Oh no, you can make an excellent soup. You get like a noodly soup, alright? And you put the shredded biltong in, along with some scallions, maybe some hot sauce or something like that. You spice it up a little bit. Poppy seeds, always good, on top. And you can make a gourmet meal, actually. The sticks, sticks, pun intended, the Angus and the Cabanassi and things like that, I'll shove them in my pocket when I go hiking, actually. It's like an easy trail meal. It's delicious. Delicious, full of protein, full of nice fattiness, and it'll keep you going for a long period of time. One of those packets could probably last you 3 or 4 days if you really needed to. And they don't weigh terribly much, so, you might as well pack more biltong. Everyone wins. Yeah, I'm going to go hiking. Yeah, for like the next month. I'm just going to survive on this biltong. Ha, my husband's meat in your pocket. That's what I'm talking about. It's really good. Just trust me. Get some of King of Biltong stuff. Serge LaChance, trust the Gorton's fisherman. I actually do like Gorton's for the fish fillets, but I make my own fried fish, which is better. I make it a little bit different. Yeah, I make it a little bit different. I usually use panko on the last go-through. I'll make it extra crispy. I definitely do that with fried chicken. And trust me, I think that 99% of you would really, really like my fried chicken or fried fish. Just saying. I'm a good cook. I'm not going to humble brag. I'm just going to fucking brag about that. Inland surfer. I'm a unionized public sector employee. The joke amongst ourselves is, what's our product? Yeah. I'm not surprised. Mexican Trumper. Hotcakes with biltong instead of bacon. Lots of real maple syrup. Just delicious. That sounds fucking fantastic, actually. Like real, lardy biscuits. Yeah. Fried up just right. Dexter Spunky. Sticks, let me drive up and get some dinner sometime, man. Trust me, if you eat dinner here, you will not leave empty-handed, because you will have leftovers as well. I do cook well. Papa Sack, National Talk Like a Pirate Day. Arr. Arr, matey. When I dress like a pirate and go out in public, all of the time, little kids think that I'm, actually, Blackbeard or something. And, the parents will come over and say, oh, my son thinks that you're a pirate. And I'll be like, arr, matey, arr. We trim the mizzen mast at noon, don't you know? And stuff like that. I like giving them a thrill. It's funny. Yeah, I like being a pirate when I'm in public. I get compliments all the time. When I wear it on a live stream, all of a sudden I don't get any compliments. People think that I'm cringe. When I go out in public, people think that I'm cool. It's very, very strange. Arr, me matey. Arr, we be swashbuckling all day today, don't you know? We was swashbuckling the French just a fucking hour ago. Where's me rum? This water, it won't do enough. I needs me rum. JD, I was in a union and still I was laid off from my position. Yeah, I know, unions are useless, that's the point. Unions are, well, here's the thing with unions. I debated Jessica Burbank on this. She's a big unionist, social dem, so-called, and so forth, on Lev's show. I hope to go to more debates, actually, on his show, because he's pretty good at moderating debates. Lev Polyakov, by the way. Yeah. When I was debating Burbank, she was like, basically people should be forced into unions. And I said I didn't think that that was a good idea. And I'm like, what if somebody simply doesn't want to join the union? Her entire point boiled down, and this is literal. You can look it up for yourself. It's still there on Break the Rules podcast. Her entire point boiled down to, well, yeah, but people outside of the union might benefit from that collective action. And I'm like, why does that matter? Number one. Number two, why can't a person simply work? Are there certain jobs that are sacrosanct where a person is not allowed to work unless they're paying money to someone who's making 6 or 7 figures just to go pal around with the industry heads anyway? It doesn't make any sense. So I think unions should absolutely be allowed. Hell, encouraged. But they should be voluntary. If you don't want to join a union, you shouldn't have to join a union. And in a case where you have people walking off the job for collective bargaining, and you've got other people that are willing to come in and fill the gap and do the work, that's fine. That's their choice. The funny part is that the highly pro-unionists, they believe that people should have the choice to join a union, but they shouldn't have the choice not to join the union. They shouldn't have the choice to do anything else outside of the bonds of that particular union, which they have to pay money into generally. Wahed Rex. Dangerous jobs you want a union. Office and school aren't usually that dangerous. Well, schools are dangerous according to Democrats, I suppose, these days. Yeah, I just believe they should be voluntary. Join the union, you get collective bargaining. Don't join the union, who gives a shit? It's really like mafioso style when you think about it. Hey, we'll break your kneecaps backwards and keep you from working if you don't join our union. We should dissolve all unions in public sector. In private sector, it should be warned against. Again, if a union forms, that's their prerogative. It's perfectly fine. They have the right to form a union. It would be no different from, listen, like a bunch of workers in a factory. They say, well, this factory is bullshit. And they decide to get together and they go into the office and they confront the boss and they say, look, this factory is bullshit. We want better working hours. We want better pay. We want better hazardous removal or something like that. Anything under the sun. Perfectly fine. They have the right to do that. They have the right to petition their boss in every way. But to force other people to partake in that union when they don't have a problem with it is just nonsensical, in my opinion. It's just my opinion, but yeah. Let's see. What other news do we have to get to? Yeah, so Lisa Cook. Nobody cares about Lisa Cook at this point anyway. Nobody even knows her name for the most part, honestly. It happens all the time. Things will get big in the news, and then, it'll get completely forgotten about. I've noticed that, too, over time. Wait. What did I do? Shit. I don't know. Opera has updated and now it has island tabs and stuff like that and all sorts of crazy shit. Makes no sense. Oh, this is a good one. This is science news for the day. A handheld bone printer shows promise in animal tests. Apparently, they can take bioink and antibiotics and things like that, and they can 3D print chunks of bone, actually, in order to repair them. They've tested it in rabbits and other species, and it seems to work. None of them got infected. It worked really well. It was really fast, as opposed to the common bone cement that they use now. And actually, the plasticine that they use in it biodegrades over time and sort of goes away, and then the bone regrows. And it's a much faster process. None of the rabbits got infected with anything. This is actually really exciting when you think of it for medical news. Imagine that you could 3D print, in a couple of hours, basically, a whole new chunk of bone that would, sort of coincide with the person that had a fracture or something like that. It wouldn't take more than that, and then the recovery period is basically, hey, don't put any weight on this leg for a couple of weeks, and you're perfectly fine. This is some futuristic technology when you think about it, actually. And it doesn't surprise me that they've developed this. They've been developing an awful lot of medical technology lately. And partially it's the result of AI. Because AI systems are capable of looking at medical things, preferably without bias, and they're capable of delivering sort of, information about what you should be doing. Here's the chemical you should be using. Haha. To AI, it's self-explanatory. This is big for medicine, I think. I think we're making a great leap forward with regards to medicine at the moment. This is one of the reasons why I'm optimistic as opposed to pessimistic about the human race. Ultimately, a lot of the things that AI, specifically in this particular case as well, is geared towards is trying to ameliorate disease and injury, things like that, and also to create art and music and creative stuff. Some people may complain and say, yeah, but it's also being used to make AI politicians and stuff. Fuck them. Who gives a shit? Nobody does. If they claim that they do, then they're lying. Nobody cares if politicians get pranked by people that are trolling online and using grok or something like that. Meanwhile, medicine has already taken major leaps forward in a very short period of time just because of the immigration of this technology into medical parlance. Personally, I think that that's a great thing. I'm very, very optimistic about AI. I realize that it can be misused. I realize that it will displace some people in the workforce. It will have major consequences, but I think that the benefit outweighs the risks currently. And that may change over time. Sigil, we won't make a real leap in medicine until we have tricorders. Inland Surfer, our union is so good at what they do, they couldn't get a decent raise in quite some time. People wouldn't apply because of the weak pay, then overnight, City Hall awarded 10% to 20% across the board. Yeah. Will Gooding, yeah, see? You're gonna join our union, see? Or else that fat lady gets it, see? Yeah. A little bit of mafioso speak over there. Yeah, that's basically what it's become. It's mafioso more than representing workers. I pointed out, I looked through the list, actually, when I was debating on this topic. I looked through the list of the sums that were paid to the union bosses. They're all well within the six-figure range. They're making a lot of much more than the workers are making. Do you think that this person has more in common with you? Because they're not a worker at all. They're just representing you. They've got a white collar job. They're just shuffling paperwork around. They're not working in a foundry or something like that. They're not working in the fields. They're not laying bricks. They're not laying cement or anything like that. They're representing you, but they're making more like the kind of salary that an upper level person in the business would make, more than they are the union worker. And so naturally, they're going to feel affiliated to them. They're not representing you. They're not representing you at all, dude. Sigil, I don't have a union. I've gotten a raise every year since I started working there, even when other people didn't, because I'm one of the more useful employees. A union would hurt me. Exactly. There is still a meritocracy within U.S. business. That's true. It's not always applied. Of course, there are going to be situations, and we have some shitty company, and it doesn't reward people for doing a good job, and it's not a meritocracy. That's going to happen. And it's sad when it does. But generally speaking, like, let's say that I was running a business, okay? I've got a restaurant. If I see somebody outperforming in a spectacular mansion, I'm going to promote them. I'm going to give them more money. I'm going to say, look, you're doing a good job. I want you to keep doing a good job, so I'm going to give you more money, give you a better title, and so forth. That's what I would do. And somebody else is not pulling their weight, they're doing a bad job, I'm going to fucking fire them. I'm going to say you need to do better. You got a week to get your act together. That's all I can give you. That's basically all you have to do. This is the way to run a business, by the way. You don't run a business by saying, oh, well, you know, you have the right color of skin and the right things not dangling between your legs, so I have to promote you. You'll be our PR manager or something like that. Oh no. Yeah, too many girls with BPD, borderline personality disorder, around at the moment. Yeah, Rashida Tlaib clearly has borderline personality disorder. There's no other way to put it. There's no other diagnosis that I can give. She's gyrating around, doing the thing with the hands. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, you've offended me. That's a symptom of BPD. The fact that she's talking over people, yelling, she's incoherent, she's enraged at something that the average person would not be enraged at. She's got BPD, absolutely. I claim unequivocally, objectively, and declaratively that Rashida Tlaib has borderline personality disorder. And I would like some therapist to go and, give her an intake, and I guarantee that they'll come to the same conclusion. She's absolutely borderline. She's beyond borderline. She's gone beyond the border, actually, in her case. I suppose. The only people in the world that are allowed to get away with that kind of gesticulation, Italians. If it's an Italian person, of course, that's okay. We understand. You make great food. You have cool stuff. Okay, you can get away with it. But I don't believe that Rashida Tlaib is Italian. Pretty sure she's Palestinian or something like that, considering her voting record. Stephen Goodman. She has a personality. Yeah, a disordered one, that's for sure. Head Rex, your faith in was social sciences is amusing and quaint. I don't know what you're referring to, my man. Actually, I'm not even sure if you're talking to me. Italiano Mario. By the way, and I'll go off in a minute here, actually. But I was going to do a series of audio recordings. I've got an audio system set up to actually do it. I was going to do one with Mario. He's a gay man. And he's got a friend, Antonio, who narrates the entire thing, and he's just commenting on what Mario has done or is doing currently. And Mario, he's flamingly gay, and Antonio is trying to, reconcile him with his very religious family and stuff like that. I also want to do more of Redneck Ralph, and I got another idea actually too. I won't reveal that at the moment. So I'm going to be doing some audio works actually as well. But yeah, it's Friday, so I've got to go offline. Got to get stuff set up for tomorrow. It won't be hard. I've still got, I think, 5 links in the description. So yeah, it'll be a fun time had by all. We're going to feed this into the docket and figure out what we can do. That's about all. Peace out. Oh, wait, Sigilstone. Mario, snapping the nudes of Mario. No, you don't snap at the noodles. You want to get killed? You go over to Rome and snap at the noodles and see what happens.